Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grimm Reaper bringing you guys another One Punch Man review. This time we're on chapter 111. Bro, this shit was freaking greatness. You already know who's like one of my top two favorite characters in One Punch Man, Atomic Samurai. And he got another showing this week to continue the Black Sperm fight. It was a great showing. The art for the chapter was spectacular on all points. I really enjoyed the progression of the fight. And now I'm looking forward to see what the outcome of the situation is going to be. We'll probably address it at the end of the video, but this is a tough instance. We've gotten a situation like this before with Child Emperor and Phoenix Man, so I'm not completely unoptimistic, but it is looking grim. Let's hop into the chapter, though. So off the bat, I was reading on Manga Dex, and they have this animation on there. Apparently it was provided by Murata himself, so I'm not sure if he actually did it or not, but if he did, it looks fucking badass and amazing either way. The buildings in the background and shit, the smoke coming up, the bird flying, it's spectacular and shit. We popped in to see Child Emperor talking to the support team. He arrived to bring Waganma, like we saw from the last chapter. I know we were kind of anticipating Waganma getting like attacked at the last second or some big ass monster coming and have to fight him right before he leaves the tunnel, but I guess he turned out to be safe. I was also anticipating a lot bigger of a storyline with the extra transponders. Previously, we were discussing whether other monsters had actually captured the transponder, whether everybody had theirs broken and they're going to get lost underneath here. A bunch of different scenarios that could have gone wrong revolving around the transponder plotline. So it's going to be interesting to see what else develops, but as of right now, it hasn't been too crazy. And if you notice a little bit, whenever Child Emperor walked up, Mizuki was out there getting a little tight for her, paying a little bit more attention to her and shit. Second guy even had to reassure her that, yeah, Child Emperor's that nigga and shit. I just want to point out, Child Emperor has put in a lot of fucking work. In the poll questions that we're going to be addressing for the One Punch Man podcast, so make sure you guys check it out. We're going to be evaluating Child Emperor's achievements compared to all the rest of the heroes. Child Emperor not only made the strategy that they used to actually come down here and free Waganma, but he also led the team of S-Rank heroes to do it. And then he fought one of the stronger monsters that we've seen throughout the entire base. He fought him head on and won. So Child Emperor has achieved a lot, and I think he's earned his rank, and probably even the rank above him, pretty solidly. Then we got Zombie Man and Atomic Samurai's responses to Child Emperor's distress signal. Out of all the people who I expected to call back, I was not expecting Atomic. Zombie Man I didn't have a problem with because he seemed like he was in contact with Child Emperor beforehand. If you remember, he was complaining that Child Emperor may have sent him on like the tougher of the paths because he's encountering so many different kinds of monsters and just hordes of trouble and shit. But that may signify that they may have had like some more contact or a deeper relationship in terms of like communication beforehand. So I would expect Zombie Man to pay more attention to his comms and shit. Besides, he's used to using equipment and tech for his combat skills, so he'd be aware of that. But Atomic was a surprise. He's usually like a hard-headed, slice and dice him like usual. So I wasn't expecting him to be able to like utilize the transponder as well as anybody else, if anything. I'm not expecting these S-Class heroes to be dumb, but that would be a trope that I could see being used by one, but he didn't choose to activate it. I'm wondering why Darkshine didn't answer. I don't think he's really gone through anything to have like his transponder fuck up and shit like that. Flashy is gone. Pooties. There's a few guys in there who I'm interested to see why they're not responding right now and what conflict stage they're in and they're not in. Tatsumaki herself is having an easy time, so maybe it's not that they're in conflict. Maybe they're just like not paying attention to it. I'm not sure. Then Atomic Samurai tells us about Tadio. I was wondering how they were going to figure out that Tadio was down here, whether Waganma was going to mention it or let it slip out of his mouth or some shit like that, and then Child Emperor was going to pick it up or somebody's going to pick it up in conversation. But it turned out to be Atomic that actually, found him as Black Sperm was chasing after his ass. So to have Child Emperor stare down Waganma in this chapter like this, and then like he was taking off his backpack and shit, I really thought he was finally about to smack him. Like Murata was finally about to give us what we've been wanting for fucking months now, bruh. And just smack this nigga. Another one of the artists that I read his manga is Araki, the writer for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and he doesn't shy away from child abuse or animal abuse. Sometimes you gotta use it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I did find it pretty brave that Child Emperor, without hesitation, even before meeting with the support team, was ready to go back down there and handle business. And then once in the face of rest and support, he also chose to not be supported. He understands the situation more than anybody else, and I'm glad to see that fatigue and trauma from crazy battles hasn't fucked him up mentally or set him back or traumatized him or anything. He's an experienced S-class hero, and he's showing it. He's showing the reason why he has this. I know in the beginning of his arc there was a little bit of I guess not speculation, but I guess the author was trying to display to us that there may be some tension amongst the media, the other heroes, and maybe even the association staff themselves as to a child being a hero and such a high-ranked one. But if that were to be a strong sentiment back then, it's no longer strong now. Child Emperor has proved himself over and over again. And then we got to the big standoff. Previously, the only thing that we saw happen was Black Sperm dodge one of Atomic Samurai's slashes. And I want you to pay attention to what I just said that. Remember that I just said that. Black Sperm dodged one of Atomic Samurai's slashes. So we enter to the fight, and we all have that stereotypical shit talking that enemies do. And Atomic Samurai, he doesn't always do it. He usually just kills the guys, but when he flexes, he's flexing. So one of the scariest things I've ever seen in One Punch Man, maybe even drawn inside of a manga, was the page turn to where we see Black Sperm's face, and he's saying, "You're looking down on me, aren't you?" So creepy. With the white circles in his eyes and stuff, the shape of his face, the grin, the detail that's in it. He looks like a true creepy monster and stuff. There's not a lot of times where we actually get a terrifying design. Some of these guys look goofy because of how they're drawn, even though they're supposed to be intimidating, quote unquote. Black Sperm, that isn't the case for him. That looked truly terrifying. I actually genuinely got scared or surprised, quote unquote, in my reaction. It caught me way off guard. That being said, that was probably the only thing that was fucking scary about the guy. Besides just obviously his tremendous power and stuff. But I'm talking about in terms of design. I'm taking some points off for it, bro. You already know how a lot of these guys get crazy ass designs. Phoenix Man, I keep going back to him as an example, but he's one of the Monster King candidates. Garou, Black Sperm, and Phoenix Man. So I gotta kind of compare the three. Phoenix Man had an amazing design. Garou has looked crazy good the entire storyline. And now we have Black Sperm. There was a lot of hype from the webcomic readers as to when this character was going to show up. But I didn't really get it spoiled or any inside information. So to see that this is one aspect of his power, that's kind of weird. He, formed himself into a huge fist, which we have to add that to the power listing. He can morph his body into different shapes, and I guess appendages apparently as well. And he attacked Atomic Samurai. Atomic Samurai speed blitzed him and cut him up, as we saw. But it was all for naught. I'm not gonna say that the next thing that happened looked any better because I'm still on the design portion. But I do have an appreciation for the whole Black Sperm simplicity and the weirdness of his stuff. There are certain times too where in contrast with the scenery, on page 21, you have the torch that's lighting up Black Sperm's back, and it looks badass right in front of Atomic Samurai. But just in general, the design is so grotesque and unattractive, and not completely horrifying, but in between, that I can't give it full points for it. That design, I'm gonna need more for it. But then as the designs got weirder, his powers got more, I guess we could say, detailed. This guy is crazy as fuck. Now, a lot of the enemies that we face, they have hacks abilities, or they're strong in one particular aspect, and it's very tough to beat them. But not a lot of them have characteristics that are almost invincible. We can go back to the Phoenix Man example, who you had to figure out that removing his suit was the only way to defeat him instead of killing him. Black Sperm may have an even more difficult complex. We've killed him several times, it seems, or beat him several times, but all it does is it splits him. And then the possible translation issue that we got was that he's a countless multitude of himself in one. So does that mean that there's like a finite amount that he was able to fuse into himself? Or is he just speaking that he can split into almost an infinite amount of pieces, but backwards? I'm confused, and I know that in consecutive chapters of this fight, we'll get all that information clarified and more insight into Black Sperm's capabilities. But right now, this guy just seems invincible. Granted, like I mentioned before, there is an aura of main cast strength. When I say that, it's not that like it's plot, it's that these guys are the S class. Like in even the top 8 S class. Like, you know, you got guys from like Darkshine and up, whom in terms of the community, people hold them to a really, really high standard. They're very, very powerful. And you need strong dragons to challenge them. And even strong dragons may lose. This is an instance of that. Atomic Samurai is very, very tough. He's one of the top-ranking S-class guys, and this seems like if not the top-ranking dragon that we have here. So, I'm not expecting Atomic Samurai to just fall down to this guy's crazy capabilities. I did mention earlier, this is the most peculiar part of the entire situation. Black Sperm claims that he can be cut, twisted, done all different kinds of things to, and he'll just split into multiples. But in the beginning of the confrontation, he chose to dodge Atomic Samurai's slash. So it makes me think, does he have to activate this power? If he's surprised, will he actually take critical physical damage? Previously, we were talking about how Phoenix Man can't take the suit off because of certain feelings that he had. And it happened to, you know, work in that aspect. But he couldn't really control what was going on. Phoenix Man couldn't actively go into his Diamond Eagle form in his Dopey Boy form. That wasn't the case. So maybe there's something that a Black Sperm can't control, but I find it super weird that he chose to dodge Atomic Samurai's air slash, but then he claims that he can be cut and had everything done to him and it won't do anything but multiply. So I'm interested to see if that's the huge key that Murata plays on as to how we defeat Black Sperm. That's probably the strongest stepping zone, but we'll see how that plays out. Just some keynotes on the actual fight, though, because there were so many good parts. Atomic Samurai literally was able to cut this guy into pixels. He literally cut him into pixels. He looks like broken glass, as we mentioned in the reaction. Murata did an amazing job depicting how much effort Atomic Samurai put into taking this guy down, what happens to him when that happened, and Black Sperm's resilience to having that much damage done to him. He's incredible. And I'm waiting to see if he shows a lot more fighting prowess offensively to actually, you know, like be potent. He just surrounded Atomic Samurai in the previous chapter, at the end of this chapter. So we have to see something right now. All in all, this chapter was fucking amazing. 9, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, whatever it is. I wanted to see more of the fight. This is just the preliminary stuff. And I wanted to see them go even harder. But just to see Black Sperm's abilities for the first time, it was kind of breathtaking. Like, this is going to be a difficult fight. But I'm glad that it's Atomic. This will finally, like, clear all the, like, misconceptions and all the bullshit that people like to speculate and talk about with different characters. And it'll solidify the strength of Atomic Samurai amongst the strongest of the X class. You already know that. Like, subscribe. I'm going to see y'all boys next time. Go ahead and check out the podcast for 110. And the podcast for 111 should be coming out in a few days. Yo ho!